a top like that.
So what have you come as today, Kenzie?
So I'm the First Lady spokeswoman representative of Chromatica.
You the press? Are you like the press secretary, or?
I'm like the press secretary. Yeah, I'm like, you know, the woman that Gaga goes to when she needs to make an announcement, but she doesn't want to put on the face, so she just sends me out there.
Fab.
And I will say, as my first official speech as representative of Chromatica, I know there has been some wonderings about our First Lady's presence and her name. And I can tell you that her name isn't Alice, but she is still looking for Wonderland. Thank you.
We've got the seal of approval there from the land of Chromatica.
Hello and welcome to The Tucked Guesser. I am Kenzie Blackheart, and as usual, I am joined by the ever fabulous
Cooterie, dressed as a llama today. Why not?
And we are two drag queens whose mission is to penetrate deep under the costumes of the Masked Singer UK to determine who their real identities really are. I messed it up slightly, but we'll go with it. Right. This week we are discussing week 3 of the Masked Singer UK. Which brought us back to the same masks.
Yeah, Group 1.
And this week we started with my least favourite of last week, sausage.
Really? I really enjoyed sausage this week.
It was my least favourite last week. This week I enjoyed it a lot more because that song, I have like a list of songs where it's like, you could do this in any style, any venue. I am here for it. And I am telling you is one of them.
Although it's a big ask.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you do not tackle that song unless you have got some serious pipage.
So we had sausage. I'm going to go back. I'm going to jump into the clues package, which was the first thing they mentioned was the difference between sometimes you get a very posh sausage or a regular no-nonsense sausage, and they very much identified with the latter. They said they follow their own path. They like the simple life. There was a toolbox or a lunchbox. I think it was a toolbox. And they later... I
interpreted that as a toolbox as well because they mentioned about they love DIY.
Yes. We also saw a bag of potato snacks and 2 empty pint glasses.
Yes.
Which I think is meant to be a big old steer towards Miss Sheridan Smith.
That is literally the only guess I have got for sausage.
So, I think it was a deliberate steer. I think it's been put in as a red herring, but a double bluff of a red herring. Because Sheridan Smith shared the cast of 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps with a wonderful musical theatre actress in her own right, Miss Natalie Casey. Mm-hmm. Natalie Casey has performed in 9 to 5. She's performed in Legally Blonde. She took over after Denise Van Outen left. Between the two of them, Natalie Casey is a much deeper, more soulful voice. So the combination of the 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps and then sort of going, well, hang on, that's too obvious for me for it to be Sheridan at this point in the game. But people aren't going to naturally gravitate towards Natalie Casey. I don't think she's as well known as a theatre performer as Sheridan.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did see her in 9 to 5 the musical, and she was absolutely fantastic.
Phenomenal.
But even though I have seen her live, again, she's not where my mind would naturally go with that clue package. Whereas Sheridan Smith is obviously where I have gone.
My guess for sausage now is Natalie Casey. You're going to stick with Sheridan?
I'm going to stick with Sheridan, yeah.
I just don't hear it. Whereas when she sang And I'm Telling You, the richness of the voice, for me, was more Natalie. That she has a natural sort of deeper root to her voice that I don't know that I hear when I hear Sheridan sing.
Never know.
Either way, I think we're in the same flat, really, aren't we?
Oh yeah, we're in the same flat, quarantining together during COVID. I mean, at least we're, you know. But I think with Sheridan, and the other thing that sort of made me lean towards her was the clue about loving DIY and the pink toolbox. The thing that I'm relating that to Sheridan with is because she did a show about being pregnant, and on that show, her and her partner, they tried to construct a cot together, and it took them way longer than it needed to. So I think the whole thing about loving DIY is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek gesture towards that sort of thing.
Okay. So would you then say for the 2 lies and 1 truth, which I've noticed through my research, a lot of people have misinterpreted as 2 truths and a lie, as that is how the game is normally played.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going with Legally Blonde.
I would say Legally Blonde, but the clue about them owing their career to a horse, it could potentially work out for Sheridan as well, because she has horses. I don't know where in the grand scheme of things for her the horses helped her get a job. I've got no idea, but that could also be somewhere, you know, on the spectrum of Miss.
Okay. I think the Louis Walsh one, you look like a pop star, you sound like a pop star. There's no one else who says it, and I think that's meant to be pushing us towards Stacey Solomon if we think that that one's true. I'm just not sure by the career down to a horse thing. I don't know. So that's sausage. So for the moment, you're going with Sheridan Smith.
I'm sticking with Sheridan Smith, yeah.
And I can see that, but I would like it to be Natalie Casey. So I'm going to run with Natalie Casey.
Okay then, fair enough. And that brings us nicely onto your favourite costume of the season.
Yes.
Robin.
And speaking of favourite costumes, the best setup, the best sort of supporting setup as well, with the hedge piano and the hedge pianist, the hedge bassist.
I love that. Those
it's so fun. Sorry, I set the Hoover off.
Are you doing a bit of cleaning while we're, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone, get a bit of cleaning done as well? Love it.
Yeah, I just nearly wet myself and made myself jump. I was just leaning. I've been resting my hand on the Hoover. And as I said, I love it, my hand slipped and hit the power button. So apologies for that. Yes.
Love it that much, you needed to turn on something that sucks.
I thought Robin was wonderful this week.
Absolutely
really good.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that rendition of the song as well.
And swag for days. Absolute swag for days.
1000%.
So clue package wise, we had the idea of a world of their own. We pushed further on the sport, so much as suggesting that they played football in a red strip. There was a failed IQ test.
Yeah.
Not sure what that was about. So actually, at the end of my notes, by the time they'd finished all the football clues, I just wrote, and I'm gone. I have no idea.
So
And then we had the post-performance clues, the 2 lies and 1 truth, which were this Robin has a more tropical habitat than most. That they started out doing impressions,
and that their real name
or
is out
that
of this
they're,
world.
which I think is meant to lead us towards Bruno Mars. However, I came up with an alternate idea, because I think the football is a steer, and I think it's to do with soccer aid. There are 2 people, one of whom is a very popular guest, and I'm leaning towards this person now. So if it's the name out of this world, the other person I landed upon was Marvin Humes. Marvin the Martian. Marvin Humes of JLS fame. But I am now falling upon Aston Marigold.
So the guest that I've got for this week is Aston Marigold.
I've done a bit of research in terms of impressions, because I think I said in the first episode of our show, you can hear the influence of Michael Jackson on this performer's voice.
100%.
You especially in that first number they did, you can hear the little riff, the little vibrato at the end of some words that Michael used to have. And lo and behold, the first sort of brush with fame, brush with stardom that Mr. Marigold ever had was appearing on Stars in Their Eyes in 2002, where he sang Rockin' Robin as Michael Jackson.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. The other thing that I got from looking up Aston Marigold was about the whole football thing. And early on in his life, football was a major part of, his life as a child. So I imagine that's kind of where that's leading us towards, where that's talking about.
And of course, he has also done Soccer Aid. He did Soccer Aid in 2012.
Yeah, so it's obviously going to be someone, I think, who has done Soccer Aid, and also someone who has a past of football, but maybe isn't into it as much as they would like now.
I don't see that they can possibly be a professional footballer now. rather than a professional singer because the voice is
No.
too good. It's too polished. And I still think the one to beat in the competition. So next we have got the Swan.
Yes, the illustrious Swan with that gorgeous headpiece, which unfortunately got taken off this week.
Yes.
And it was revealed to be the iconic Martine of McCutcheon.
Tiffany off of EastEnders. I'm embarrassed by my guesses. I was panicking as they were getting ready to unmask her. So, similar situation where when the name came up, I went, oh, well, yeah, they're probably right. That is probably who it is. But it felt disingenuous for me to try and jump on this one because it hadn't been one I'd been thinking about. So my final guess, which I genuinely am appalled and ashamed by myself, I wrote Billie Jean King. I'll talk you through it. I'll talk you through how I got there.
Yes, please do. I think you need to.
Swan, as I've said, I've not been able to figure out. Swan has been the one that I've stumbled over. And so I thought, right, okay. They kept pushing this idea of regalness and royalty and power of swans. And I'm sort of like, okay, great. So you're someone who I thought maybe we're looking at a politician. They then said that they served 2 prime ministers and a president. And then I thought, well, hang on. Serve tennis if this woman, so hang on, I can already see you going, what is she on about? Wait for it. So I feel like Ken Jeong right now. I was like, okay, well, maybe serve.
I wish Ken Jeong came on with a llama helmet because that would just make things even better.
And then I could picture, like Boris Johnson when he went and played rugby with all the Chinese children and he flattened them because he was just a brute.
Oh my God, I love that clip so much.
It's so awful, and that man controls our country now. I thought absolutely a big star tennis player would have like a photo op with the Prime Minister and with a president, and they do like doubles, and it'd be a laugh to help raise awareness to some issue.
Yeah.
And then we got the post-performance clues. So by this point, I was going, tennis? A chef, maybe? They served them food? And the fact that they travelled the world. They were talking about travelling. So then we got the 3 post-performance clues, the 2 lies and a truth. And they said about a girl band. And I thought, no, this person's would be sort of in the girl band era. They're not as grand as their name suggests. Or they're a bit of a Catwoman. So I latched onto this idea of not as grand as name suggests. And I thought, well, the reason they're pushing this regal and what I identify with royal is their surname was something like Queen or King or Prince. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm thinking serving not as in working for, but another kind of serve and a royal name, it must be Billie Jean King. And I am ashamed. It was a dreadful guess. And bless her, I looked it up, and I think Billie Jean King's in her 80s or something now. So,
poor Martine was struggling under that costume. How do you think Billie Jean King would have fared?
But yes, it turned out to be Martine McCutcheon. And did you see the clip she put on Instagram?
I have not, no.
It's her and her son, and she had I think he's 5. She had her 5-year-old son in her arms. And he was just aghast. He couldn't believe it. He was like, how, what? It's adorable. I highly recommend. Finish this episode and then go check out Martine McCutcheon's Insta, where she's got a clip of her being unmasked and her son's reaction to it. It's absolutely wonderful.
So I'm actually happy to say that we did get it, but we got it because of, strangely, my father.
Oh.
He's one of those people who, it's sort of where I get it from. He's one of those who listens a lot, doesn't say much, but he takes a lot in. And when we was watching the episode and Swan was singing, all of a sudden he just sprung up from his head sprung up from his laptop. Well, not sprung up, but it was just rose up, and it was like, it's Martine McCutcheon, and went back down. It was like, okay, thank you. And then once he said that, once we started listening, it was like, of course it's Martine McCutcheon. You know, the clue about serving presidents and prime ministers, Love Actually. And my mum even knew before looking it up that she was a part of a potential girl band.
I was completely clueless. I had no idea. For me, it was just like I was trying to focus on the boxing gloves, and I just took this one all over. They took me around the houses and I had no idea.
Sounds like an ideal grinder date to me, but anyway, we'll move on.
Well, I will say though, Martin McCutcheon, another lovely name to have involved. Nice. I completely see it. I think the casting team at ITV have done a brilliant job.
Absolutely. I love her. I think she's so sweet. She's one of those people who I would love to, like, you know, if I met her in like a gay bar one time, it'd be like, oh, I bet I'd have the most lovely little conversation with her.
Yeah.
Those people, you know? So next we have the ever elusive and difficult to get Badger. Are you under any other new impressions with Badger for this week?
I've just looked at my notes and realised I've literally written no guesses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just occurred to me now that I've just sort of gone, well, actually, I've no clue.
For my guesses for Badger, I'm still sticking in that kind of blur range. So one of the names I did write down, okay, going back to the whole clue package and that, the thing that I got from it was the truth and lie bit. And one of them was saying that they work in green. So, right, my thinking...
You're going to say Andy Serkis, aren't you?
I'm actually not. So one guess that I've got is Alex James, who is now a cheesemaker. So my thinking was, works in green, he must work on the farm a lot, making the cheese. So that was my thinking with that. But I'm also sticking with Damon Albarn, and the reason that the works in green part sprang to mind for me for him was because a fictional member of the Gorillas is called Murdoch, who has green skin.
I will say, doesn't Damon Albarn do the voice of 2D, not Murdoch?
He does indeed. It's some guy called Phil who does the voice of Murdoch. But that was still the kind of comparison I was drawing in.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say the idea of works in green screens and all of the CGI and visual effects that Andy Serkis works with. This one stumped me. Where I did have ideas, I feel like it's taken me, everything in this has sort of taken me slightly away from where I was feeling sort of pretty confident. And now I'm just... I think I'm going to need the next clue package to narrow things down. I might go back and look at it again. So I'm stumped. Badger is still one of my top three. I think Badger should, at this point, based on everything so far, be making the final.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
But heavens knows who it is.
So you're doing well this week. You've got no guesses for Badger and no makeup on your face. She's going a la carte.
And Swan was wrong. Oh, she's a mess this week.
But we love her anyway.
However, with Dragon, I nailed it last week, and it's still definitely who I guessed last week, which was Sue Perkins.
I'm still not with that. Still not with it.
You're gonna be wrong, babes. I'm like, no. The only reason I'm not 100% right is because I haven't seen the mask come off yet. I just don't see how it can be anyone else. Because going to the clue package, what did I say would be featured this week? I said they would mention something about all the food she's eaten.
Yeah, and one clue was...
And the dragon said big belly. Now, they are not going to ask a performer to just be like, also, I like the costume because I'm fat. So it's not someone with a big belly. It's someone who could be described as having a big belly or whatever, because she eats all of the food on Eat Like the Tudors, Eat Like the Romans.
I'm with you on that one, but I'm still actually going to go with Courtney Act. I'm still going to go with it.
I can't. It's not Courtney's voice.
I think it is.
Is it?
And I've even actually had people like message me saying the dragon is Courtney Act.
No, that is a woman's voice. And Courtney Act looks like a woman and sounds like a woman sometimes. No, it's definitely not. Courtney Act can't do that good an American accent.
I think she could.
No, about the accents, Courtney Act, if she was to do an American accent, would be an LA Valley girl. She would not be a Bronx. She would not do a Bronx accent.
It's kind of Bronx, but it could also maybe work for like Boston. And on Drag Race 6, she did say that her drag name works in a Boston accent, Courtney Act.
Okay.
I never claimed to do accents, by the way, so I apologise to America for that.
The post-performance clues, the 2 lies and 1 truth, is that their name was a clue. So dragon, drag
on.
Fine. I don't know what I've famous shoe. What have I written?
So,
what have I known about writing there?
Incident with famous shoe was the clue. With that, I think again it could also apply to Courtney because of the whole wardrobe malfunction when she was entering the Big Brother house.
So what is the shoe?
Her skirt got caught on her shoe.
I don't buy it.
Went flying away.
I don't buy it. I can't. It's got to be Sue Perkins. We had more dragon stuff. And then she knows her IQ backwards would lead us to Sandy Toksvig, who I don't believe it is.
No, I'm not getting Sandy Toksvig at all. I think that one's in there to sort of satisfy those that think it is, but I'm not buying that.
Has Courtney Act ever been on Dragon's Den?
Don't believe she's ever been on Dragon's Den, but I think she has done Celebrity Mastermind. So again, whether that's any link to the whole IQ thing.
It's a tricky one. I don't feel like either of us are going to budge until we've got more information.
We're both big girls anyway, so it's difficult to budge us. But I think in terms of this guest, we're pretty rock solid at the moment.
I'm a brilliant doorstop.
Oh, me too. I make an excellent mattress. I make a great pillow, as many of my friends will attest to. And yeah, I can hold the door open for ages.
Right, well that's everything for episode 3 of The Masked Singer UK Series 2.
I know, there's not a lot that we've really gotten out of this one compared to last episode, but of course last episode it was all new. We were virgins to season 2, so we was fine.
I feel like the net has closed on a couple more this week. I think we're getting there. We're both agreed on Robin, and I think that's who it will be.
Yes.
But beyond that, we're 2 for 1. You have correctly guessed 2. I've correctly guessed 1. So next time we will be reviewing the clue packages and figuring out who's behind the mask of the rest of Group 2, which is airing this Saturday on ITV.
Yep, well, by the time this episode goes live, hopefully, if I've edited it by then, it will be tonight. So stick us on and then stick that on.
Do it. You know, what else are you going to do? Stay in.
Exactly. Order pizza, do your taxes. Who's got time for that, eh?
I have. I've got nothing else on.
Is that what you're doing afterwards? Doing your taxes in your little llama hat?
I've put all the receipts in here, actually. Now, what's nice about wearing the head of a piñata is when people hit and kick me, it's because they think I'm full of sweets, not just because they don't like me.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it, actually, yeah. Oh, you see, you've got to put a positive spin on things sometimes.
I'm like, oh, guys, you're playing the game. You're not just attacking me. Oh, thanks, Mum.
Oh, I was wondering why everyone was kicking me through this UKIP rally. Ooh.
Ah! Well, until next time.
Yes, until next time. But until then, please subscribe, and you'll of course know when any more of these episodes come out. Yeah, and we'll see you next time. I think we can just cut it there, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, she's doing a conceal. Reverse reveal.
It's a reveal! God.